Welcome to the Practice Podcast, a show created by lawyers to help lawyers in life and business without all the complicated lawyer language. Let's welcome Bast Amron founders and your hosts, Jeff Bast and Brett Amron.
Hi, Jeff.
Hey, Brett. Welcome to the Practice Podcast.
Thank you. How are you?
I'm wonderful. Staying busy. Brett, What is a job that you think you would be good at? Besides lawyer, because you're obviously good at that. But what's another job that you think you'd be good at?
Lawyerings and such. That's a good question. Park ranger. Maybe a really good tour guide hiking different trails in a national park.
I like it.
Because I love to do it. And, I think I'd bring excitement to it. I think obviously I'd learn what I needed to learn, bring some knowledge to the table. To me, whenever you're going on a tour or a hike and there's somebody who's there, who's knowledgeable, it really kind of amplifies the experience. So I think I might be good at that.
I like it. Good stuff.
How about you?
I think very similar, actually. I think I would say dive guide, like a scuba diving guide. I'm like you, I have great passion for the water and sea life, but I'm also really good at picking out wildlife, finding wildlife. Just in general, I'm always, when we swim, I always, could spot a turtle or something, shark or whatever. And it's always so much fun. I derive so much pleasure by sharing that with others. So I think that'll be a lot of fun. I think I'd be good at it.
Maybe we can form a new business.
Yeah, it's not too late.
Maybe we'll do that. Land and sea, maybe we can call it,
And I see our guest, I think we
have to ask Russ.
Yeah, we're going to have to. But let's first introduce him. Russ Brown is our guest today. Russ is the co-founder and managing partner of Brown Fox PLLC. Russ has helped grow the firm from a startup in 2010 to a Chambers-ranked business law firm recognized among the nation's fastest-growing companies and best places to work. In his practice, Russ is a labor and employment attorney. He helps companies navigate challenges, manage risk, and position themselves for long-term success. His commitment to service extends beyond the practice of law through his work on the board of trustees of Brother Bill's Helping Hand, a nonprofit that has supported Dallas families with food, healthcare, education, and other essential resources for more than 80 years. I don't think Russ was on the board for 80 years, but welcome, Russ.
Well, thank you so much. Thanks for having me, guys.
We're happy to have you. What? So you want to answer the question? What job would you be good at?
I don't know. When I was here in land and sea, I was thinking you guys are working at great places. And I want a vacation where you guys are working. No, for me, I think it'd be a baseball coach. That's what I did before going to law school. And I loved leading young men, and I would still love to do it.
So tell us a little bit more about that. You were a baseball coach before you went to law school? When was this?
Yeah, sure. So I coached high school baseball for a year as that gap year of getting out of college and trying to figure out what to do. And previously I'd played baseball at the University of Arizona and had a great experience. I made most of my bad decisions in college. So I learned a lot during that time. So my career ended a bit prematurely, but I had a chance to coach a high school baseball team. It was amazing. This one baseball team that I coached had several Major League Baseball players on it. And just, I don't think I appreciated the time, but what an honor to coach those guys. And eventually I was driving home one day and really trying to figure out the next step in my life, because I just expected to be a professional baseball player. That was the way it was going to go. I looked over and literally pulled into a used bookstore and, was drawn back to those Princeton review books. Remember those, to see, the law school rankings. And I went back there just to see if I could get into law school. And I was pleasantly surprised that if I pulled off a better GPA my last summer session than I ever have before, I might have a chance. I need to get a good LSAT score too. So I decided to go for it. And so that fork in the road, it was really, and it was close. I mean, it was, be a history teacher, be a government teacher and coach football and baseball, or go to law school. And so I made that pivot to law school, and I've been able to coach all my kids' teams. I still love coaching. In some ways, I think I coach attorneys in our firm now. Yeah. But that would be what I'd do.
Well, that's cool.
So why the law though, as sort of the counter to being a teacher and a coach? Like, what led you there? Did you have that into your background or family, or was something that kind of triggered that?
Yeah, so academics were certainly not in my individual background. I was an athlete growing up, and I just I did what I needed to do to get by, but truly thought that was my direction. So what happened really was my baseball career ended pretty quickly, and a lot of it was by truly a lot of poor decisions I made, a lot of hard knocks. And so I learned quickly that opportunities like that can disappear. And so a lot of wisdom gained, but at the same time, I was in a little bit of a search of trying to figure out what I wanted to do. I knew I was ambitious. There was an interest, maybe in something like FBI or, something interesting like that, maybe politics. Thank the Lord I didn't do that. And then if anything, it was an intellectual curiosity that really lit up in me during that phase too. And I went for it. And truly, it was a leave. I grew up in Tucson, Arizona. I was born in Texas, but grew up in Tucson. And it was a full slide all the chips in and make the bet. And, back then, you guys may remember the internet was a little slower. I remember applying for my student loans. And I actually sought out opportunities with all the military branches. And the best offer I could get was more or less a general enlistment with the Army. And it would cover about half a year of tuition. So I figured I wouldn't do that. And so I applied for loans. And I just remember the little clock on my computer rotating around and it said a loan approved. And so, okay, I packed my bags and went out to San Antonio, Texas and started law school.
Wow. Great story. I love that. I know you were a little vague about what happened, but your career ended. You said shortly after. This was while you were in college.
No, this was at the end.
So, at the end of college. So, and if you feel like being vulnerable and sharing more, we'd love to.
Sure. It's the journey of a lot of people. Yeah, Jeff. The Lord really blessed me in sports, and I had opportunities for football and baseball, and chose a great school, University of Arizona, and it was the way to describe it would be the decisions young people make in college, right? Yeah. So. When you move into, at the time what I would argue is the best conference in baseball, and, that requires incredible nutrition. That requires great sleep. That requires great focus, a vision for what you're doing. And, I went from, my brother was my baseball coach for a period of time. I was out, pulling tires on the football field at 5:30 a.m. in Arizona when I was in high school and just doing everything I possibly could to showing up on campus at Arizona pretty entitled. And so when you're playing at that level, I didn't have the talent of, some of the legends. I was a in the mix college baseball player. So, you can't just show up doing that. And so I did that for a little bit and it caught up with me. So there's always in situations like that, if you take the wisdom, there is, while I would, if I could go back in time, I wouldn't have made those decisions. You take in the wisdom and you grow from it. Yeah. And it's given me the ability to guide other young men in situations like that. And to this very day, every day, some of whether it was my college baseball career or whether it was working as a bellman at a hotel and valeting cars, I apply the wisdom from those experiences today in my practice and leading this law firm.
So was there a time when the wisdom kicked in or clicked for you? Like, did you know at the time? I don't know exactly what happened, but did you know at the time, all right, I'm losing this opportunity because I, didn't do the things I needed to do? Or is this a later reflection in life, or how'd you?
Yeah. And again, to remove the mystery, it was just, I was going and competing with elite athletes and I chose not to behave like an elite athlete. Yeah. It was that simple. It was, no bombshells. But I'll tell you, it's for folks that are, their bend is to, if they get knocked in the dirt, to pick themselves up off the ground. That's what I did. And so, there was a little bit of soul searching of like, okay, I thought I was going to do that. And now I need to figure something else out. The wisdom came quick. And in fact, when I went to law school, I chose the opposite path. Is really what I did in high school. It was, I'm going away to San Antonio. I'm putting my head down and I'm going to give this the best I can possibly give and we'll see what happens.
Yeah. I think in a lot of ways you were fortunate to learn that lesson so early in life, right? To have the opportunity, obviously, put you into an elite school and to be able to learn that lesson early, I'm sure served as an advantage in later stages, including law school.
Absolutely right. It's served in the foundation of the law firm. I have a drive in me that's unrelenting to this day, largely because of those years and what I learned from it.
Yeah, I mean, you went through those times. Kudos to you. There was obviously something inside of you that you learned so quickly and could flip it so fast, as you were saying, that Jeff was saying. There's a point in time where you realize, like, there's a reason this happened to me. There's a reason I didn't do this. And now I'm in this position, either for my benefit, right, for later using it, or to teach. And it seems like you've taken advantage of both, right, and using that experience to teach people, as you said, but also to drive yourself to the success you've had today. And to be that young and to be able to flip it is impressive, right? So it was there, clearly. Maybe the competitive sports, that's pretty impressive. I actually want to ask one question. You were a valet. Yeah. You worked at a valet stand?
I sure did.
I did too. Did you ever have an opportunity to crash a car or hit a car or damage a car?
Yeah, opportunity.
Anyway, I did.
That opportunity did avail itself in my journey. Yeah, so we have that in common. Yeah.
Yes. So I was scared out of my mind. I backed a car in and nailed the front end of the Jaguar. Yeah. It was a very expensive car, and I just walked out like, and the owner of the valet stand came up and, was kind of helpful, but yeah, it scared the crap out of me. I don't know what, I was a junior in high school.
My overconfidence got me. So there was a Jeep parked on a steep hill at a wedding and no one could move it. And so I said, okay, I got it. Move aside. And it was about 1.5 feet off the other bumper and just rolled back. And the accident was minor. It literally punched a hole in the bumper from the other vehicle. So it was minor, but I still had to deliver the bad news to the attendee at the wedding. So
all right.
I learned from that too.
I like this little detour you've taken. So we only learn from our mistakes. We don't learn from our successes. So it sounds like you guys both had some early ones. I've never been a valet parker, but I've had many opportunities to wreck cars. So
you know what? I bet you Brett would agree with this, that as a bellman as well, so in the hospitality industry, I learned so much about interacting with people, about dealing with adversity, about dealing with people in different moods. It's always wild to see, someone come in and, not the Porsche, but in a, showing up for an event and, dressing the best they can. And it's a big deal. And I'd get this amazing tip from, someone who works, with their hands. And, at the times, someone would come through that, was driving a Porsche and would, give me $1. So, and just those interactions and standing by the valet stand and learning to carry a conversation and react to what they have to say, again, still completely helps and impacts the design of our client focus here.
Oh, 100%. And I think, and Jeff and I have said repeatedly, right, in terms of the hospitality, I always look for, I know Jeff does too, people that work in the restaurant space. I was a busboy at a restaurant in college, also the valet. And I think the hospitality industry, no matter in what space, really can help in terms of communication, hard work, customer service, like all of that, I think is super helpful. And I know I learned a lot, both good and bad, like in the valet space and in the restaurant space, right? Like you were saying, the Chevy pickup truck will drive in and give you a 20, and the Porsche will drive in and say, hey, can you keep my car up front and come out and give you $1? Yeah. Right. And so that teaches you a lot because you know how you feel when that happens. And now you're out there and you're either running a law firm as you're doing, or you're something as simple as going to an event and you're parking a car and giving a tip. And how you treat people, right, is how you want to be treated at the time. And I think that's invaluable.
A big relationship driver that still impacts the way I interact with people today. I started watching the other bellmen that were really good at their job, and I moved to a different resort, and I decided, we're all from Tucson, but I was born in Lubbock. So I put on I still have my name tag that says where I'm from, but it says Lubbock, Texas. And I did that so people would be like, Lubbock. And it just strike up a conversation. And I learned in those years that, you can have a conversation with anybody as soon as you can find common ground. And then when I went and taught in the Congo, and I'm talking to a single mother who's been through things we all can't even imagine, and I learned that I can find common ground with her. We're from different countries, different cultures, different situations, different genders. And, to me, it was like, okay, this is how you can get to know people. This is what will drive relationship. And, when we look at our firm, I mean, I think relationship is the biggest driver of our law firm.
Yeah, I second that emotion. I think we're constantly being told how different we are and how we don't agree on anything. But I think when you get person to person, you put any two people down, I would submit that they're going to agree on more things than they disagree on. We have more things in common than we think, no matter what our background is or whatever. So I love this conversation. And I think you're right. I mean, I think a lot of lawyers forget that we are in a customer service business. This is a service business, just like a valet parking or a restaurant. A customer has an experience. They come to us for help. I mean, you're going somewhere else for help with your car or with your food. So they're coming to us with help with the law, but we still have a relationship with a person, and how we treat them and how we treat others on our team, I think reflects on everything we do. And so, I love that you guys took these lessons and applied them. And we all, like Brett said, I also was in the restaurant business. My son actually this week has 2 interviews with restaurants for summer work. And I'm so excited. I want him to work, to get that experience, because in addition to all the things you said, teamwork, hustle, I mean, there's so much to learn there.
Yeah. Well, one of my sons is in the kitchen. That's what he wants to do. And so working in the kitchen at a restaurant, is just insanity. And so it'll make you grow up quick. People be successful.
Oh yeah, absolutely. What's amazing too is that, you can't run from these factors no matter what job you take. I mean, maybe there's a few, but like if you hate sales, like good luck, because you're going to be in sales to some degree, no matter who you're working. Even if you start your own business, you're selling to somebody. So, and then relationship. I mean, those are big drivers. And so instead of, rolling our eyes and saying, we're lawyers, we hate the sales side. It's like, okay, embrace, approaching clients the right way. And part of it is that sales factor.
Before we go on, I want to go back. You mentioned that you taught Jeff knows where I'm going, right? You taught in the Congo. Like, you can't just like throw that out there and then just like, we're not going to breeze past that. Please tell us about that. That sounds super interesting.
Okay. So a cool part of my journey is that, I told you, okay, fell on my face at baseball, had to figure it out. And then it sounds like, I went to law school and everything went great. And I love being a lawyer. The reality is I worked at some great firms. I have great mentors. But for me, in my seat in a high rise working at a large firm, I had a couple years of being like, what am I doing? I'm pushing paper. I mean, I'm getting paid a lot of money to do it, and it's all adversarial. It's all conflict oriented. I was miserable, and for me, I came. So I'm a believer. So I came to faith later in life here in Dallas as a practicing lawyer. And what happened is that I didn't see a lot of value in the practice of law. If anything, I saw it as a burden. Almost overnight, it was like, okay, I have a pedestal because I'm a lawyer and a megaphone. Everybody thinks lawyers, know everything. And so you have a certain room to speak. And I thought, okay, I can use this skill, this law degree to serve people. And I ended up going to this event. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of International Justice Mission. It's an incredible global organization of lawyers. They go to the hot spots of the world. They take on child prostitution, bonded slavery. I mean, they get after it. And I showed up at one of these events that a friend had just been to India and went and worked, taking on bonded slavery in the brick kilns in India. And I see him up there telling the story and talking about his faith. And I was just beyond moved. And to cut a long story short, some pieces just happened to work out in unusual ways where I was invited to go on the next trip. And I didn't even go to this church. And so before you could blink, I'm out in India training lawyers on, how to get witness interviews after they raid a brick kiln, and out in a village, a small village with freed slaves, and they're climbing up the tree, cracking open a coconut and sharing, that with me in this town hall, which is below the biggest tree, the coconut tree. And that side of the practice took off for me. And it was a lot because I saw, God put me in a certain place to serve people. And so it led to other opportunities. And so, I've taught been blessed to do this, but taught in the DR Congo, in the war zones of DR Congo twice, Rwanda, Mombasa, Kenya, El Salvador, right before COVID hit. And I think I mentioned India as well. But DR Congo, the first day of Brown Fox, when it was just me and Fox, 0 clients in the Great Recession, I was teaching in the Congo for free. And it was just the way it worked out. The trip had already been scheduled, and it was scheduled 8 months in advance. And so, Adam Fox had said, "Yeah, I'm going to be crazy enough to hitch my wagon next to you." And so I'm out there, truly, in Goma, Congo. I mean, it's one of the, at the time, one of the most dangerous places in the world. Still, it is, and loving life. Wow. And feeling, not only completely fulfilled, but having total confidence. So when I got back, we were going to build a great law firm. Didn't lose a wink of sleep over it. Obviously lost some hair, but.
So
what an amazing story.
Yeah, that's awesome. Love that. Jeez. And so tell us about the formation of Brown Fox. Were you guys working together? Are you old friends? Tell us about how you started this firm. Besides
Adam Fox,
besides the fact you were out of the country when it started.
Yeah. Adam Fox is a brilliant mind, great friend, great lawyer. And so we were buddies years before. We both worked at Strasburger and Price. They were since acquired by Clark Hill. So we're working at the big firm. He actually recruited me. He's like a third-year associate, recruited me to Strasburger. And so we knew each other well, ended up going separate ways. And meanwhile, in the early days, of the firm, and some of it was when I was searching, trying to find my way, is that, what I do know about me is I'm a builder. I'm an entrepreneur. I like building up people. I always had a vision to, even when I was thinking about sports, of like opening a restaurant someday, from after sports. And so I actually had a effort, I guess it was maybe my third year of practice, where I approached a friend about starting a firm, and he said he just wasn't ready. And that stopped me at the time, but it was always in the back of my head. And so there was just that moment in time where I'm like, you know what, I'm going to go for it. And so I sat down with Adam Fox over lunch. I went into the conversation kind of like, I'm not going to let you talk me out of this. I'm doing this. And because most people I talk to are like, okay, at the time we thought we were still in the Great Recession. And so we were actually coming out of it in 2009. And just the conversation flowed. And I knew his style and his talent. He could carry a conversation in any situation. I knew how brilliant he was. And so the conversation evolved to potentially doing it together. And then I remember saying to him, because I had gone through the whole journey of making sure my mentors were on board, making sure my wife was on board. And I told him, I'm like, look, we don't have a lot of runway. So you better run this by your sweet wife. You better talk to whatever mentors you have. You better make sure you have some cash. This thing may not work, but we're going for it. And he came back and said, man, I'm in. And so the firm started in 2010. And, I use that word relationship. What blessed us was that there was a lot of people in the city that we'd had good relationships with, the friendships to former colleagues, to the like. And the bottom line, I wish I could sugarcoat it. It's just, I had people looking out for us. And so when I got back into town, we were getting referrals. And sometimes it was small stuff and, just a little, we're just doing anything we could. But we had this out of the gate, this land and expand mentality of just get the opportunity. We knew we were good lawyers. And so we'd get after it and try to expand the business. At the same time, protecting all those relationships. So every conversation I ever had with, maybe there's a conflict referral. I would just bend over backwards and say, you're working with the best lawyer. They just have a conflict. I'm your backup. We'll help you. And then I think that reputation got out about our firm, and just opportunities just kept coming. And, for me, again, as a believer, I felt like that push in the back I had, to start a law firm, it was very faith driven for me. That again, I had this almost to outside observer irrational confidence in what we were doing.
Yeah.
I bet people don't brag about, forgive me, you guys don't get a chance to brag about what you've done, but I had a chance to meet y'all at a conference in Atlanta. It is really impressive what you guys are doing in Florida. I watch what you guys do and take notes off your podcasts and your website.
I appreciate that. We like to say that we're the Brown Fox of Florida.
Not true.
No, you're right. I mean, I think we our relationship was similar. Although Brett and I are not long time friends, we just started talking. We were both going through the same experience of starting a law firm at the same time. Brett before me, and recognized that Brett's brilliant, and also that we have a lot of synergies. But we built the firm, and the reason we were successful is relationships that we had developed in the community. And I think a lot of people fail to recognize that others want to help. You just have to ask. People want to help. Like if they have an opportunity, and especially when you're trying to build something for the right reasons, you're not looking to squeeze the last dollar out of anyone or, be a jackass. And, you're trying to do the right thing. You just want to help people, and make a living, obviously. And so, like you, we've been successful as a result of that. And we're also happy to be conflicts counsel or local counsel. We don't have any ego about, some firm from somewhere else has something in Florida. We're happy to be local counsel for them. They could, and we will usually say we'll do as much or as little as you want us to do. We're here to help. And it sounds like this the same approach. I think a lot of lawyers, especially, I think lawyers at every level fail to recognize that that's what business development is. It's relationship building. It's not marketing what you do. It's really how you do it and with whom you do it, So obviously people have to know what you do, but you get business because you have relationships. And fortunately, there's enough work to go around to keep everyone busy.
That's right.
So Brown Fox is now, 16 years old. How many lawyers do you have? And I think Brett and I are seeing you, so we see that you just moved into new space. Tell us about the trajectory of the firm.
Yeah, so in about 2 weeks, we'll hit 29 lawyers.
Whoa.
And we've had our ebbs and flows. I mean, you'll see a common theme of me falling flat on my face periodically and learning from it. So, the journey hasn't, it hasn't always been every decision's been perfect. So we've learned along the way. We partnered up with a couple guys early on that did a lot of plaintiffs work, and amazing guys, amazing lawyers. But, we ultimately had to split early on just because, look, we're two different law firms. And we, learned to lock in on the business side. And we actually rolled out what we called Vision 2.0, which was just a different way to make our firm magnetic to attorneys. And so we had a growth, I wouldn't call it growth spurt, but over several years, steady growth. I think when we figured out that, when you pair talent, integrity, and good people, if you got those three in a person, you got a keeper. You have a keeper that you're going to want to invest in, that you're going to want to promote. And we've developed this nucleus through the years of these incredible lawyers and staff here. I mean, I show up at work and truly cannot believe how blessed I am to work with such talented people. And so the magnetism of our law firm, I don't know if it's so much driven by Brown and Fox anymore. I think it's the amazing young partners and associates we have in our firm. And so, we've recognized recently that we need to deepen the bench in certain practice areas. It's just, there's a point where you have the work coming in and you want to do it with excellence. And we're realizing, okay, we need to find that combo of talent, integrity, and good people pretty quickly. And then we have other practice areas that we need to add. There's just a constant presentation of needs, one being real estate. Chris Quillen, a partner that lateraled over, just started yesterday. Actually, in our first day in our new office, he also started. So we've added a eat, sleep, and drink real estate lawyer. We've done, some basic real estate work in our corporate group, but, to hit that next level of expertise. And so we've chosen a geographic site in Dallas. As you guys probably know, Dallas is a great business city, and it is really growing. And it was just announced today, I think, that Samsung is moving their headquarters here. And so we are, I think their American headquarters. And so we chose, to move our office, right in the heart of it all. And it's a great place to host clients. It's a great place for our young associates to show up to work. And we're in smart growth mode for sure.
Wow. All right. Well, amazing. We love Dallas. We've done a lot of work in Dallas. We've just just by chance, we've had a lot of cases over the years in Texas, some clients based there. And so I'd love to find some opportunities to collaborate with the Brown Fox folks. And
we love that.
This was amazing conversation. So did not expect it to go this way. We dug in on some deep stuff. I think I'm looking forward to learning some more about it.
I think what we learned is why Brown Fox is so successful.
Let's go.
And right, I mean, we just learned sort of the foundation of what you guys are and what you've created your firm to be. So kudos to you guys. And I just love the narrative that maybe it's not so much Brown Fox anymore, but the younger partners and associates and the staff. And that's kind of what we're focused on too. And we're trying to get there. So I mean, I think we started to achieve that as well. We're there. And so that's a hard thing to do. It takes a lot of hard work and dedication as well. And so kudos to you and Adam Fox and the work you guys have done. It's really impressive to see and look forward to seeing what comes next.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate it. You guys are good at this because I didn't even touch my notes.
You had
conversation
notes? Send them to us.
Wait, we have a guest that had notes. That's awesome. I love that. That's awesome.
If you enjoyed this episode, please show us some love. Leave us a 5-star review. Subscribe to the show and share the show. Share with your friends and neighbors. They might enjoy it as well. Russ did. We'll see you next time.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Russ.
Thanks so much.
For more information on this show and other resources, visit bastamron.com and connect with us on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram @Bast Amron.